What does a rescue dog and a horse with founder have in common? And what does a dog with Lyme's disease and a cat that hisses and even growls at a family member have in common? Well, I'm going to give you the answer to that question and even more today on Hang Out with C.J. show. I'm so happy that you stopped by. My name is C.J. Gilbert, and I'm your host. I'm a holistic animal practitioner, and I actually got into this whole world because really, if you would have asked me 20 years ago, would you be doing this? I would have said, are you nuts? No. But yet it's so natural and easy, and this is where I'm supposed to be. But what am I talking about? Well, back, oh gosh, I would say about 20, actually probably about 20 years ago now, and even longer than that, I received a thoroughbred mare. She was an ex-race horse, Hazy Hostess, and Hazy had some lameness issues. She would move very gingerly, stiffly, and the consensus from a few of my trainers that I was working with said, dump her and get rid of her. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. This horse had a heart of gold, and I'm going to find an answer for this horse. I knew that in my heart that there had to be an answer. And so I tried everything that Western medicine, so to speak, and the traditional route. I did all that. And then through some kind of interesting events, I had my eyes opened up into alternative therapies, energy work. I was like, wow, there's a whole nother world out there that I didn't even know existed. And so I started taking training. I traveled all over the US, anything that I could find and read and, get information to help this horse. I was going to do this. And so what happened wonderfully is that she did improve. And as she improved, fellow horsemen who knew this horse from before said, what are you doing? What's going on here? And they wanted it for their horse, or for their dog or the cat. And then I also work on riders too. And so what turned into this, quest, I would say, to help my horse, it changed into a business and to help other animals to improve their health and well-being and to improve our relationship with our animal companions. And I started back in 1998, I believe it was. So anyway, you're watching the Hang Out with C.J. show, and I'd like to invite you to say hello, down below, post, and, say if you want, where you're watching from. I had one gal who was watching from Minnesota said that even her new dog was watching with her. She just adopted Gilbert. So hi, Gilbert. And anyway, so if you'd like, post down below and say hello. I also like to tell you that the last Tuesday of the month, I'm doing Q&A. So if you have any questions about your pets, please post them. And also, if you're interested in being on the show with me and asking your questions live, let me know. Just, put it in the comments and we'll connect and make it happen. Okay, so back to today's episode. What does a rescue dog and a horse with founder have in common? Well, the common denominator was Reconnnective Healing. Back when I was having, these concerns with my own horse, I still do. If there's a book out there, if there's information, if there's training, I'm going to take it. I want to know as much as I can, and I still do this. I have several books back there that I'm reading because if it's going to help the animals, I want to know about it. So anyway, I'm thinking, is it going on almost 2 years ago now? It's hard to believe. But anyway, a retired doctor had told me about this book. It was called The Reconnection by Dr. Eric Pearl. And he said, you might be interested in it. And that's about all he said. And I'm like, okay. So I got the book, started reading it, and a lot of things that he was talking about, his experiences and stuff, I could relate to. And then he talked about how this new energy or frequencies were coming in that he was able to connect to. And so I thought, well, that's interesting. What's different about reconnective healing is most of your, well, not most, all of your energy modalities out there are old. You know, Reiki, how many years old is that? And healing touch. I mean, there's so many different things out there that they're all this, I guess for lack of a better term, is old energy. And reconnective healing, they actually had several scientists come in and found out something interesting, that this was new. It hadn't been on the planet before. So something happened back in, I believe it was 92 or 93 with Eric Pearl, and he connected with these new frequencies. And what we're finding out is that it's a broadband of light and information that we're able to access. And so it includes, you know, like the Reiki and Qigong and all these things. It includes all that, plus so much more. So I started playing around with it, and I actually worked with my own personal dog who's had Lyme's. And now I don't diagnose, I don't, try to cure. And I definitely, if you are under any kind of a veterinary care or medical care, do not stop that. That is not a replacement. This is something to add in. And so please continue if you're working with your vet or your doctor. So anyway, he was having issues of getting up and being stiff, which is one of the things that can happen as byproduct, so to speak, of this dis-ease in the body. And so I thought, can't hurt him. So I did, and he bounced up, and he's been acting like, I'm trying to think if he's 9 or 10 years old now. He's a white German Shepherd, and he's acting like he's 2 or 3 years old. He started jumping. When we would take him to go outside, he had stopped his jumping. He used to just jump up and be so excited. He had stopped that. He was just like, no, just let me out. I've got to go. And, so that was really interesting to see the changes. And then what really convinced me was a client of mine. And she's been a client of mine for, oh gosh, I would say 10 years or more now. And she contacted me, and she said that her horse, he's 21 years old, and she is an avid trail rider. She loves to hit the trails, and not just short ones. She goes on long rides. And she was saying that, her horse was acting a little off and kind of, I think she said lethargic maybe. So I asked her if she, contacted her vet, and she said she didn't think it was that serious, but would I, do my thing? And I said, sure. And then I mentioned to her, I'm studying something new, and would it be okay with her that, that I, use this? And she said, oh yeah, I trust you, go ahead. So I did this session long distance, which means I'm here at my home, and the horse is in a stable at least 2 hours away. So in most of my work, I do long distance, which is wonderful because you don't have to put the horse in a trailer and load him up somewhere, and that can be a lot of stress on them. You don't, I don't have to travel if I don't want to. I do go to stables and do in-person sessions too, but it's also another, but mostly it's convenient for the animal. And not having a stranger coming in. And so anyway, let's back up. So I did this session with him, And a few days later, she contacted me and she says, wow, what did you do? And I'm like, oh, I did this reconnective healing. And she said, well, he had a goiter and it shrunk 50%. Now, I didn't know he had this. I just knew he was acting a little lethargic. That's all I knew. And she was just like blown away. And then I told her, I said, you know, it's recommended to go 1 to 3 sessions. And would you like to do 2 more sessions? And she said, yes, let's do that. So with each session, that goiter kept shrinking and it went back to the normal size after the 3rd session. So the interesting thing about reconnective healing that's different than anything else I've ever studied out there is that you don't try to figure out something. You know, is there an imbalance in this chakra? Is there, you know, they're off here? Maybe it's because of nutrition. Maybe it's because of this, whatever. You don't have to do any of that figuring out. You just have to, you know, connect with these frequencies and offer them to the animal. And the other thing that's a big difference too is that, well, there's a few more things, but it's hands off, which I love. And I actually started doing more hands off even before I got into reconnective healing, because there's animals that are hurting. And I'll tell you what, if they're hurting, they don't want somebody touching them, let alone a stranger touching them. And so this is a nice, gentle way of helping them. And so I really love that part too. And the other part about it is you're not channeling. You know, with Reiki, you are channeling this source energy through you and out your hands. And this isn't channeling. This is receiving. So the practitioner is receiving, and then the animal or the person is receiving these new frequencies. So it's a whole different thing. So if you were, and I'm just saying Reiki because I've studied many different kinds of Reiki, and if the practitioner is not in a great place, I mean, they try to be, but say they're not feeling the best, or maybe they've got some filters about that person or that animal, and they might not even be aware of it, that can hinder that energy, that source energy coming through and working with that animal or that person. Now, with reconnective healing, you don't have that because the practitioner is receiving. So I can be not feeling so great, and it doesn't matter because it's not coming through me. I'm just connecting with these frequencies. I'm receiving that information, and then I'm inviting it to the animal, and they're receiving that information. So it doesn't matter. I don't have to meditate. I don't have to make sure I'm grounded and wear all these crystals and stones or whatever. None of that matters. It's I love the simplicity of it. And so it's pretty cool. Anyway, you're watching Hang Out with C.J. show, and we're talking about reconnective healing. And I invite you to, down below in the comments, say hello, maybe where you're watching from. And if you got any questions, post them. And so anyway, after I worked with this horse, and, you know, got the feedback from her, I was like, wow, okay, now the gates have opened. And off we go. So I started working with, you know, more of my clients with this, and of course my own animals. And another really amazing thing that happened is, you know, if you're a horse owner and either you've experienced this, or maybe you have a friend or you know somebody that's experienced this, when your horse founders, it's tough. You're trying to maintain it. You're trying to help them with the pain level. You know, there's lots of things that variables that can go into this. And well, one of my horses had foundered, and I had tried, you know, all the different things that I knew from my background and studying and training, and she'd get a little bit better, but then we'd slide back. She'd get a little bit better and slide back, and I thought, oh, this isn't working. And the other thing that was very interesting with her is when I would try some of these different energy technique with her, she'd say, nope, that's not it. She starts telling me, and I'm like, okay, that's not it. And she's like, no, that's not it. I'm like, wow, all right. So then when I, started doing the reconnective healing with her, she said, this is it. I said, wow, okay. And she got better. She's been sound for almost 2 years now. It's going on. This is a long stretch. She's doing great. So I've worked with other horses with these challenges. I've seen bones pop into place. I mean, all kinds of wild stuff. I've also seen changes in behavior. When I talked earlier about the rescue dog, so there was a demo being given, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and get some more information about this to see if this is really what I want to do. And the instructor, she's talking about some things, and I would share some of my stories. And she at one point, she came over and looked at me, and she goes, "Did you take the training?" I said, "No." She says, "My gosh, the results you're getting are incredible. And you haven't taken the training yet." And I said, "No, I just read the book." I said, "But I've been doing this kind of work for 16, 17 years. And she says, "Wow." So then when we were done, she said to me, "It'd be really interesting to see where you go with this if you take the training." And I said, "I do. I plan on taking the training." And so I went out to Colorado and spent almost a week and took levels 1, 2, and 3. And when I came back, I was asked to do demos at a beautiful horse facility. And they were hosting Best of America by horseback. And so I was getting ready to do my demos, and this lady comes up to me with her, I believe it was a golden retriever dog, and she's like, "You need to help my dog. You need to fix her." And I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" And so I started doing the frequency work, the reconnective healing, as she's talking, and she's telling me a little bit about, the story about this dog, and she had adopted her, and she'd been a show dog and a mom and things like that. And so then I said, well, we're done, and let's just see how it goes. And the next day, her friend came over and was signing up because I was doing if you free drawing for a session. And she was like, "I gotta hurry up and get in here and see if I can win." And I'm like, wow, what's changed? And so then she informed me that after seeing me, she took the dog for a walk. And the dog, I did not know this, but the dog had a fear of men. And they figured that she had only been handled by women. And so, and here we're at this horse facility. There's lots of men around. You can't get away from that. And so anyway, she was just shaking. And after the interaction with myself, she took this dog for a walk, and the dog walked up to a man. She initiated contact with this man and was mellowed out and easygoing. I went over to see how she was doing, and she totally changed. The day before, she was just like shaking and kind of looking around and scared. And now she was just relaxed and just, taking it all in and easygoing. And it's like, oh, this is cool, way cool. So it can happen in an instant, and also it can unfold, over time. And it just depends on what that animal requires. And it may not be what you think it is. It might be something totally unrelated, but yet this intelligent energy knows, these frequency knows exactly where to go. So you're watching the Hang Out with C.J. show, and we're talking about reconnective healing. And really, this is my all-time favorite energy. And we don't even call it a technique because there is no technique. With, some of the different ones out there, again, I'll refer to Reiki because that's what I know best. is you have to do these certain hand positions, and you have to call in the energies, and you're supposed to protect yourself and all this. Reconnective healing, no, you don't do any of that. So it's more of a philosophy, I guess. And if you want, on my website, I have more testimonials. I've got a video of the woman, the friend with the dog. I posted her testimonial. And you can also go to the main website, the reconnection.org, and get some more information about Dr. Pearl. And he travels all over the world teaching this. And, you know, when I do look into different things, they may have a setup for people, but then I see how I can transfer it over to the animals. Well, in this instance, they're actually, there's several people that do, you know, instructors that work with the team there, and they do work mainly with animals. And so that's pretty cool. You know, the other thing too, I had an experience with, and again, this was long distance, is a cat. And the lady, you know, she contacted me and said, I don't know what to do. This cat hissed at my son, you know, and he feels horrible, and he doesn't know what's going on. And so when I connected with the cat, I found out that, you know, his energy was different. And he was a hockey player. And hockey player, they have aggressive energy. They need to. They need in that game. They can't be, you know, passive and, oh, let's go, lolly log, you know. No, they got to be aggressive. And so, and he's an excellent hockey player. So I explained that to her, why he has this energy. And she said, oh, that makes sense. Okay. And then I did the reconnective healing with her. The cool thing about reconnective healing is it doesn't just affect that particular animal. It affects anybody else who's in that facility, within that area of that animal. And so she reported back to me and actually sent a picture of her son sitting next to the cat and petting, and they get along great now. So it totally changed their relationship, which is cool. So it works not only on physical, it works on emotional, you know, mental, spiritual, and traumas, relationships, and way beyond, way beyond. I just worked on a horse rider the other day, and she had an injury, and she was seeing a chiropractor, I believe. And you don't set an intention, you know, whereas other types of healing modalities, for the most part, you set some type of intention, or the practitioner maybe has in mind, well, we need to do this, this, and this in order to get this result. Reconnective healing, you don't do that. So anyway, I just started doing the frequency work with her. And what was interesting is people and animals will show registers, which means it's almost like they're submerged, but that's probably not the right word, with the frequencies. And sometimes you'll get the rapid eye movement. You'll get twitches. It's really funny with horses. Their muzzles will twitch. Sometimes you will see on their muscles kind of ripple, you know, on their body. And sometimes their legs, they might shake or paw a little bit. I've had them where they got really sleepy. And but those are called registers, and it's just kind of a visual sign to us as a practitioner, but also if there's anybody watching, that yes, indeed, something is happening here. So anyway, so with this lady, her legs started, her foot started vibrating, and then her leg kind of vibrated, and the next thing you know, she jolted. The leg just went whoop. And then she contacted me a few days later and said, well, that was interesting. My leg kind of popped back into place, and it feels better. And then it also helped with a relationship that she was having some issues with. And was that our intention? No. But she was surprised at some of the changes that were happening in a positive way. So that's pretty cool. Like I said, this is intelligent energy. It knows where to go to help you and to help your pet. So you're watching the Hang Out with CJ show, and my name is CJ Gilbert. And I want to also share with you, you know, when I started working with horses, I would notice between the horse and the rider, or the horse and the owner, sometimes there's just this disconnect. And it's like you got this one energy going over here and one energy going over here. And they're not connected. They're not being a part of the herd. And so what I developed is horse and rider reconnected clinics, where I actually come in and I do the reconnective healing work with the horse and also with the rider. And depending on how you want to work it out, sometimes we do in the saddle work too. But the big part is to get you both back onto the same page. And then I share with you some of my tips and tricks and tips to help you to connect when you've, or reconnect when you feel like something's not quite right. They're not listening to my aids. They're not, the communications, something's gone here. And, you know, to help you move forward. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. There is a book too, I don't have my copy right here, that's called Science Confirms Reconnctive Healing. And it was a Russian scientist who, they did some different studies. And one of them I thought was fascinating is they worked with some athletes. And what they found is that the athletes, whatever their discipline was, improved. And it didn't just improve while they were doing the reconnective healing, like within that, it kept going forward. So what's interesting is the frequencies don't just stop when the practitioner or whatever, you know, ends the session. It continues on. And so I've noticed that too with horses, is that they will keep improving. So this is great for performance horses. It's great for, you know, if you show, I work with trainers and maybe they're having some, you know, disconnect with the horses that they're working with, and this kind of helps jumpstart that and gets it back together. So it's really fascinating. And to be honest, I don't even know what all it can do. I'm just amazed every time I work with these frequencies, what shows up. It's just fun. It's really fun. So next week's episode is going to be Q&A. So you're welcome to post your questions down below. And if you'd like to be on the show and ask me these questions live, you know, say so, and we'll work it out. And I'll show you what you need to get you on the show here. And you can ask live, and that'll be fun. So the last Tuesday of the month is Q&A. And I really appreciate you taking your time out to hang out with me today. And if you have more questions about my work, you can go to my website, www.cjgilbert.com. And like I said, I work long distance. I work with clients all over the world. And I also do the horse and rider reconnected clinics. So I come to your facility. And usually they can be 1 or 2 day. You know, kind of just depends on what you want to set up and work with. And so now you got a taste of reconnective healing and really the magic and the wonder of it. Like I said, I'm amazed every time I work with it, and I work with it every day. The interesting thing, you know, something else that's kind of cool is that you could be working with a person or an animal, and say another horse, you know, goes between you. Well, some of the other energy work, it would stop. It's like, wait a minute, this horse just kind of got in front of there, or took that energy, or something weird happened here. Reconnective healing, that doesn't happen. It's so funny when I'm working with one of my horses, the other one, she's always got to be in there with it. She's like, well, I gotta have some of this too. So she also receives the frequencies too. I don't have to direct them to her. I don't have to be focused on her, and she gets the benefits too, which is pretty cool. So if you have any questions, post them down below. Thanks so much for taking the time out today to watch. And if you like my program, share them with your friends. Get the word out there. And as always, happy trails.